Hello and welcome back to the studio. So as you can see, I've got the blanket to the very end and I've done my 1 inch of sort of just plain weave here at the end. I ended up with 83 inches and because I wanted to get a full repeat off the back side there. And so now we're just going to do the hem stitch, which can get a little bit tricky because we are doing double weave. So what I'm going to show you here is how I do that. And so of course for the first part, I stick my finger under here to make sure that I have both sides separated, because of course you don't want to sew the top to the bottom. So if I keep my hand under here just a small section at a time, that helps me to keep it separated, and then I can go across the whole top this way. And so I do a 2x2, so I do 2 wefts and 2 warps. So this is weft, and so I'm going to go up over 2, so that's going to be right here. Oops. I don't know if you can see. Okay, got her zoomed in here. So we're going to go up here and pull this all through. This length is approximately 3 times the length of, or 3 times the width of my blanket. So I've got that one in there. Now I'm going to go bring the needle under these two straight across like that. Okay, pull that through and give that a nice little tug. Okay, and then we move on to the next one under these two from corner to corner. So the first stitch is from corner to corner, and try not to get your yarn tangled. That's going to be a tough one on this because my length is so long. And then, oh, and you'll notice that when I bring the needle under horizontally under these two, that I always have this thread towards the loom. And that is because I want the needle to go through this big giant loop that I've just created, and that's what's going to create the knot. It's a little bit of a knot here, and so doing it that way just saves me one extra step so that I don't have to like figure out where my loop is at. I just always know. Okay, so then we do, oops, make sure that you're not picking up the bottom section, the bottom part. And those two. And then make sure that's facing that way and pull this through. That's going to be a knot. All right, so pull that. And diagonal, corner to corner, 2x2. I have a knot down here somewhere, I think. Oh no, it got itself out. Very good. And then make the tail go up towards the loom and under the same two horizontally. And pull that through. Oops. So much yarn. It's all right. I'd rather do long yarn than several pieces, because then you just have ends you have to deal with, and that's just not cool. All right, here we go. I'll do a couple more and then we'll speed things up here because they're going to take a while. And then when I get to the end of the top part, I will show you how I turn the corner and do the bottom part, because that gets even more complicated. Okay, so we've gotten here to the folded edge here and just have a couple of stitches to go here. But I wanted to show you how I managed getting around the edge here. I'm actually going to take the weight off now. So I don't need that. Just getting rid. So now I'm going to stick my finger in here and I'm actually going to kind of flatten this out a little bit. Ooh, I really like the way that came out. Yay! Okay. So yes, I'm going to kind of flatten that out a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and go in and do my stitches same way, but you can see how I've kind of, hopefully you can see that, flattened that out like that. And do another one. This. And a couple more so that we can actually make it around that corner. I think my hand might be in the way. Let me adjust the camera. Okay. So we're gonna flatten that out. And I have not released the tension at all, so it's still pretty tight on the loom. So those two. And that. All right, that is to the very edge. I'm just gonna do two more like that. One. And then this is gonna bring me around the edge. Or around the fold, I mean. Okay, so now comes the fun part. We get to cut part of it off. Woo woo! All right, here we go. All right, now I'm just gonna like poke the needle in here for a sec. And what I'm gonna do next is just cut the top part off here, not the whole thing, because we obviously still have half a blanket to hem stitch up. Take my other weight off, and gonna be super careful not to cut the bottom threads. So I'm gonna stick my hand under here and I'm going to just lift gently and cut off, and I'm going to kind of sweep my hand under the edge each time to make sure that I haven't picked up any of the bottom threads. Ooh, this part's always a little tricky under the handle. It's okay, I'm gonna trim it up later. I don't want a super long tassel or fringe. But silly handle, I wish the handle would come off sometimes. And this one. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to trim off just these two. Okay. Now we can let that drop down there like that. And now we get to do the really fun part, which is to hem stitch backwards. So I'm gonna open that up like that and figure out where I'm at in my hem stitch. Also, I know it was hard to tell with the time lapse, but the thread likes to untwist itself, so every once in a while I will go and re-twist that just with my fingers. Okay, I didn't show it, but I have just gone and pulled all of those cut ends through the reed and through the to the back, and tied on some weights in order to keep the tension on the threads while I'm tying this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a backwards hem stitch, which seems overly complicated, but it's not once you get the hang of it. You just kind of get into a rhythm and go. So you're going to bring up your needle, make sure all of your yarn for sewing is down below, of course. And then bring your needle up through the previous knot and where you want your next set of knots to be. And you're going to pull that all the way through. Then you're going to take your needle and you're going to do corner to corner. You're going to take your needle and put it in here on the corner. So I've got 2 wefts and 2 warps in there. You're just going to bring that back through where you just came from and pull that. And then while you're pulling that, stick your finger in there, or your hand or your thumb or whatever, to hold on to this loop down here. So you can see this loop that I've kept, because I don't want to pull it all the way through. I want to keep that loop. Okay, so now you're going to take the needle and you're going to go over the 2 warp threads and through the loop that you just created. And then you can go ahead and tighten that up. Now this method does take a little bit longer, but to be honest, I have not found a better way yet. You never know, I may figure something out later, but this works for me. It keeps the tension. I don't really have a very good work table to like cut it all off and then go and you know, lay it out to do the hem stitch on like a big work table or something. So this really works well for me because I can keep that tension by putting the weights on the back end there and just going straight across. So do that. Sometimes I'll do it like that where I'll just, I don't know, I don't even know what that move is called. But I wish I could figure out a way to get my camera underneath there so you could see what my hand was doing, but alas, I do not know how to do that. At least not with good lighting anyway. I probably could, but wouldn't be able to see anything because it would be really dark down there. Okay, so we're just gonna do a few more here. So bringing that up between the last one and the next one, corner to corner, and we're gonna keep the loop down here, and then bring the needle through the loop. And then sometimes when I'm doing this, and I probably will for this one too, after I get a certain distance across the project, I will go ahead and trim it, and that makes it a little bit easier, or not trim it, but cut it off the loom, so that it's easier to pull that from underneath. So that, just pull that all the way through, over and under, around and through. I feel like that's a saying from something. Over, under, around, and through. Anyway, pull tight and go to the next one. Pull that one all the way through. Oh, and try not to get your tassels caught in there. Okay. And grab that, make your loop, go around and through the loop. Loop de loop. And pull So I just wanted to pause here for a minute and show you what I do when I cut the bottom part off. So I'm actually not going to cut every single bundle off that I've done. I'm going to leave these two here and just cut this off back here. And I'm gonna do it way back here at the reed so that I have lots to work with. And ta-da! I'll just move these out here. And now I can once again go ahead and continue with my upside down hem stitch because I can get my hand under there again. So this is the way it's gonna go all the way across till I finish this off. Like that. And then I kind of take the thread and I sort of weave it down with the warp and then bring it back up. And that just helps to secure it so that it doesn't fall out. And kind of adjust as necessary. There we go. Somebody would really have to be picking at that to get it out. All right, here we go. Cutting the last of it off. Oh. And then I just leave the end on there and use it as part of the fringe. And my hand is totally in the way. Let's go this way and then you guys can see the, I don't know if I can cut left-handed. Apparently not. Oh, yep, there we go. Ah! Oh, that was my weight in the back. Ta-da! All right, let me adjust the camera and I will roll this sucker off. All right, here we go. Rolling it off. One. We have to hem stitch the front side. Give me just a minute here. I'm going to rearrange things and I will be back in a moment. Okay, so I've kind of got things rearranged here a little bit. Due to the size of this blanket, I just threw it up over the top and then stuck some weights on in the back to just sort of keep it taut, although I don't think that's going to be completely necessary because this thing weighs a ton. And then before I started weaving, I left myself a good amount of tail end here so that I could do my hem stitch when I got to this part. First, I'm going to take out these the spacer here, I love this pink stretchy stuff. This is t-shirt yarn that I just got off of Amazon. This is pretty much the only thing I ever use for spacers. Occasionally, depending on what I'm doing, I might use just like a plain old worsted weight yarn. But most of the time I use this stuff. And that's only if I either don't know where my pink stuff is, or if it's like super, super tiny yarn and this is just too big for that. But I have not found that to be the case. In most of the time, I've not found that to be the case. So, almost there. I'm gonna leave these knots on here for right now. And little label. Okay, here we go. Oh, that was ridiculous. I shouldn't have done it that way. Okay, ta-da! All right, got the spacer out. Put my bench back. Oh, left my needle over there. All right, front. Just threading my needle here. Whoops, almost lost it. There we go. All right, so whenever I have this long of a thread, I don't, see, I pulled that way too far through. What was I gonna say there? Oh yeah, I just have to make sure that I don't do what I just did now, which is pull that end through way too much, and then you get things caught and all of a sudden you're sewing with 2 threads instead of just 1. Okay, or yarns or whatever. All right, let's go ahead and once again, I'm going to stick my fingers under here to help keep everything in place while, to make sure I'm not sewing the back side while I'm sewing the front side. So, and again, doing just the 2 by 2, same as the other side. All right, so do that. And on this side, it's really easy for me to just use my thumb here to just flip this up again towards the loom. So you want this going away from you. And then around those 2. This is gonna get caught on my bench. I think I did too much yarn here. But whatever. Usually I do about 3 times the width. I think I mentioned that for the other side. 3 times the width of the finished project. And I find that to be sufficient. I know some people say, oh, do 4 times, but I just find that just gets so obnoxious because you're constantly, and even 3 times is, to be honest, quite obnoxious, but it's a really wide project, so can't be helped in this case. So just gonna keep going. I'll go ahead and speed things. I'll do a couple more here, and then I'll speed things up, because even though it's pretty much exactly the same as what we were doing on the other side, I just want to make sure you guys fully get it. All right, well, I hope not, but that's all right. My pizza crust is rising, so I have a good hour to sit here. And sometimes I will take my needle and just kind of like poke this last thread back up into place. Last yarn weft that, well, not the last one, it's the first one, the very first one. All right, do that. Is my hand in the way? I think my hand's in the way. Corner to corner, and then I will speed things along here. See how much I got here? I think I got way too much here, but oh well. Okay, so pull that, tug that up behind those two, making sure that this is away from you towards the loom, and then pull it all through. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Okay, there we go. Yeah, these ends are gonna get kind of annoying after a while. I may end up taping them down or something. They came loose. Just gonna tighten them up a little bit, actually. That'll probably make things a lot easier. Okay. All right, on to the other end. Let's speed things along here, and I will see you at the other end. Okay, here we are on the folded side again. All right, so once again, we're just going to flatten this out a bit. It's a little bit more fiddly on this side, but it's all right. So flatten that out till it goes kind of around the corner there. And we will do our 4 or 5 stitches here. Oh, okay, there we go. There's one. You just want to do just enough to get you around the fold there. Ooh, that's looking so good. I'm really happy with my folded edge so far. Looking good. Folded edge can be a little bit tricky because you can, oops, hang on, needs to go one more stitch over. If you don't get the tension right around the corner there, you can have a funky looking center. Boy, I'm just not doing well here, talking and sewing at the same time. What the flapjack? Nope, that's right. Okay, here we go. Those two. Yeah, not. Right. Can't talk and do this at the same time, apparently. Okay. 2. There we go. And let's see if I can get one more on the back side here. 2. Go. Ow. Oh, sorry. It's crazy length of yarn here. Hit the camera. All right, so we've got a couple stitches past the fold, so you can see there's the fold, and we've got a couple of hem stitches past the fold. So now what we're going to do, so that we can get the back side done, is go back to the other end here, and I will move the camera so that you can see, and I am going to untie these bundles, separate the top from the bottom, and then retie the bundles. So give me just a sec here and I'll reposition the camera to the other side. Okay, so we're just going to start with this very first bundle, and I'm just going to loosen the knot here, and I've already got a little bit of space here on the bar, so I'm just going to leave it just the way it is. If it's too tight, then I would go ahead and loosen it up, but I don't think that's going to be necessary this time. So I'm going to just pull out, hopefully, nope, it's gonna pull everything out because they're all tangled up. That's okay. So pull that out and then just pop that back under the bar. And I'm just gonna do like a little half hitch knot here. And just do what I normally do. How do I normally do that? That's not how I normally do that, but that's okay. We'll do whatever works. Okay, that one. And I'm not going to be cutting this at all anyway because I want tassels, so I'm going to be cutting, or fringe, so I'm going to be cutting it later. So, oh, that's because I was doing it backwards. So, reach underneath there, pull it back around, tie it back up. And again. That's one of the reasons why I used such a large bundle. Normally I would do a slightly smaller bundle. But it just made it a lot easier to get the knots undone for this purpose, for this step. So, yep, go. Break that. Put this back. There we go. All right, I will go ahead and you guys get the idea, and I will meet you at the other end again. Okay, we got all the way across, and now I just have one side tied down to the front bar here, and I have the other half sort of flipped up away from it, so it's out of our way. And now we can go ahead and work on our upside down hem stitch. Okay, so I brought the needle up. Here's the last one. Here's my second pair, or my next pair. Bring this up here between these two. Okay, now we are going to go diagonally. So here's these two, and then we have these two, so this is our corner. We're going to go diagonally from the top to the bottom, back to the same corner, and make sure that you hold open a little loop down below. I usually just use my finger or my thumb, something like that, just so that it stays open so I don't lose it. And then put the needle from right to left inside that loop. See how I made that into that loop? Pull that tight, and then pull that up and away from you. And we'll do one more. This one's gonna go between these two gaps here. And that is this one. Bring that way and through the loop. And tighten her back up. All right. I will go ahead and speed things along here, and we'll get to the other side. it should actually. The center line there, once it gets washed, oh yeah, that looks beautiful. You can see how evenly I weaved it. So once it gets washed a couple of times, you won't even see that it's there. This is the largest project I have ever done. It is, well, curious what measurements came out to actually. Of course, I still have a few finishing things to do, like cutting off all the ends, trimming the fringe, all that kind of stuff. Let me see here. We ended up with ooh, 88. Yay. So that was 88 by here, roughly, ooh, 69. Yay. And it won't shrink too much in the wash, and even if it does, you're not even going to notice it. But yay, all done. See you next time.